One. Hi, this is Damien Marie AtHope, and I'm an Axiological atheist, and I'm going to be interviewed today. And go ahead and explain who you are, and then you can start the interview.
This is Rob Moore. This is the Arrogant Atheist speaking to you from the underground, the atheist underground, that is. We have a podcast, we have a YouTube channel, and we have several Facebook pages and groups that you can join. And I am interviewing Damien Marie AtHope, did you say? I was going to ask you how to pronounce that. But
yeah, Damien Marie AtHope.
And we'll talk about the etymology of that word in a little bit, because I love that shit. But this is the first Google Hangouts that we're doing, and recording and putting on YouTube channel eventually. We normally, for your information, Damien, if you haven't checked it out, we just do little rants on the YouTube channel, trying to get some people's attention and hopefully straighten some things out in society. And you're a guy who does Facebook. I use Facebook. Obviously, we have 3 or 4 or 5 pages. Atheist Underground, Craft, the Kenosha Scene, Atheists and Free Thinkers. Or you're going to plug all my groups here.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Kenosha, Wisconsin group, Craft, is the Freedom from Religion Foundation Southeast Wisconsin official chapter. We are a chapter of the Freedom from Religion Foundation. For anyone who doesn't know, they are the largest atheist organization in the country, and they are the folks responsible for bringing lawsuits against municipalities who break the Establishment Clause of the Constitution by putting a Ten Commandments statue on their public property, government property, or fights in schools where people are putting prayer banners up in Rhode Island. Jessica Alquist is the famous case there in Rhode Island. They're a group of lawyers, and they're right here in Madison, so they're right down the road from us. And shockingly, there hadn't even been a Wisconsin chapter outside of that until we started it just last year, and we've already rooted Thrivent Financial out of the Bristol schools. I don't know if you've heard of this group. It's a Christian financial advisor firm called Thrivent Financial, and their logo is a heart with like a sweepy cross through it. Okay.
No, I never heard of it.
You never heard of them? All right. These assholes go to public schools and in Bristol, and they got in one grade a year. They would take the whole grade and take them out to a food share, like a food drive for the holidays. Okay. After they got the food drive, it was a separate. Like they would work in coordination with a Christian food drive outfit or a church. And then after the food was gathered and packaged, they would pray over it together. So they would lead the public school kids on this field trip in a prayer, and they gave them the option to not. They didn't sort of try to force them at gunpoint, but the point is that it was basically the school leading the kids in prayer through their representatives.
Isn't that illegal?
Well, I'll get to the story. At the end of the trip, they would give them all T-shirts with that logo on it, all right? They'd take a picture of a whole school class with the same T-shirt on with this Christian cross over a heart, Thrivent Financial. It's good marketing. I mean, they're just trying to do business. But it's also completely inappropriate and a violation of the Constitution in almost, for 3 or 4 or 5 different ways. The next day, all I did was write a letter, an email to the lawyers had a letter to them. The next day, the principal basically admitted that he kind of knew it was shady and agreed to immediately stop it. So that was a massive success early on for us. And that is, in general, what we do and what we're really about in the bottom. We want to raise the profile of the atheist community around the world, and in America especially, where we're looked at like we're evil, and we're discriminated against. Me, and that's us. We do other community projects and fun stuff, social stuff, but really at the heart of it all is about protecting the Establishment Clause and the separation of church and state. In this, the first great secular nation, which shockingly has no secular voice, even though we invented it. So anyway, this is your interview. I'll agree to interview you this time. You can interview me and get more of that crap next time.
Yeah.
But you are Damien Marie AtHope, and you are a Facebook guy, as I started to say. I don't really use Facebook in that way, but you do, and you've got massive followers, massive pages. You're one of these dudes who's like maxed out your likes, and you need to start another page.
Yep.
Because Facebook, I don't know what that's about. Why don't they just let you have unlimited likes? I don't get it. But tell us your story and how you got into what you do and where you see yourself in the movement.
Yeah. So I'll just go back real quick and tell you about real fast about my life. If for anyone else also doesn't know, I was raised in a Christian cult in California called the Local Church. They use that name really because they don't have a name.
Local?
Yeah, it is local. Yeah. But they say local as in like whatever town you're in. And they think that any church that gives itself a name other than the name of the town is somehow a whore of Babylon and evil and all kinds of...
It's clever marketing.
Yeah, clever marketing. Anyways, so I was raised really, really strict. We didn't have any really birthdays or Christmas or holidays. And because anything you did celebrate outside of God was to take away from God or to uplift yourself as somehow you're valuable. So most of my life, some Christians can feel, I felt shame. In fact, I felt guilty for liking hard rock music and rap and wanting sex. I thought I had demons. My mom had, convinced me that I was actually demon possessed. She didn't say this, but I knew that, didn't say that I personally was demon possessed, but she knew that the drugs or sex or listening to music that, has evil things in it, are going to make me evil and thus be demon possessed. And so, but I mean, I had an absolute terror about it. 15, I mean, I was so scared. In fact, my mom had a friend that said he could see angels, and demons. And he was going to come to the house, and not for me, but I was terrified. She goes, don't you want to meet him? No, I don't want to meet him. But that was because I thought he would be able to tell my mom that I was demon-possessed.
Mm-hmm.
Just ludicrous. I mean, my mom would walk around the house and put oil on the windows and stuff. I mean, it was...
Like the Mom and Carrie.
Yeah, and I didn't know... I never seen that show, but I wouldn't doubt it. but my mom... I didn't watch TV. We didn't have one. We didn't listen to radio. I mean, it was just extreme control. And they had me believing that I was never going to graduate high school because we were going to be raptured by God.
Oh, they thought it was going to happen before you got to high school?
Before 2000. Well, before I finished,
okay, all right.
I finished in 99 actually, but I mean, they thought, I was sometime before, 2000, the world was going to end and God was going to come back and all.
Holy shit.
I mean, serious. I mean, so much so that my mom never really did much to help me with homework, never really cared much about what I was doing in school. Why? We were all going to leave anyways. I mean, education at that point is almost like an unnecessary redundancy.
This is a shocking thing. I found out that evangelicals are litterbugs because of that same reason. You know what I mean? They don't recycle. Yeah. I was shocked to learn that. We're not going to need the planet.
Because that's why fossil fuels, like, who cares? We're all going to die, or we're going to get taken to heaven to God. So, it's all God's will anyway. I know that I used to have, in a sense, like you said, I talked to you earlier, talked about fear. I felt a lot of fear, but it's interesting. I wasn't afraid I had a weird fear about sin and stuff, but I also had a weird non-fear about death because I thought I was good. I mean, I would almost be reckless because I remember being on an airplane and some part fell and the wing was shaking. The lady next to me says, "I'm so terrified." I said, "You're good. God loves me, so you're good. He's not going to take this seat. You're certainly probably safe." I mean, and I believed it.
She probably felt better.
She did feel better. Well, because she looked at me and I was very convinced. Well, they say, you had a lot of faith. I had mountains of faith, but that still didn't prove anything in reality. But I agree. It actually made me more reckless. It made me less caring because why did it matter? It also gave me people to hate. I would hate gay people. I would hate people that were the wrong religion. It was so weird though. To me, I learned when I went to college and finally became an atheist, I didn't realize how ignorant I was, even of Christianity. I didn't realize I couldn't have named 5 branches of Christianity.
That's a real common problem.
Let alone name 5 religions of the world. I mean, but yet they were all wrong, and I knew it for 100% fact, even though I didn't even know what they said. I mean, it was. So when I went to college in general, I went to be a drug and alcohol counselor. Really wanted to help people. I had gotten to drug addiction and stuff, some from shame and guilt of my life. Also had extreme abuse because, especially my father, extremely abusive. In fact, he even broke my tailbone hitting me with a 2x4. But you have to have the fear of God. All I ever heard was the fear of God, the fear of God, and I had a lot of fear. Because God sounded like a monster. But it was how my parents said it, but it was a monster that we loved because it was on our side. And so it was a monster that we could utilize, in a sense, against others.
On your side, unless you
do the wrong thing, which, of course, I was always...
use the brain he gave you and base your thinking on the evidence and don't believe in him, and then he sends you to hell for eternity. So that's real loving God there,
Yeah, not loving.
That one.
But so I had a real confusion on ethics. I had a real because of how you're raised. I had a real confusion on because I valued things that don't matter and I didn't value people that do. I mean, right. I had a misunderstanding of a lot of things. So when I went to school and the biology class said that everybody starts in a sense as a female, and then it takes 3 processes. Anti-feminizing androgens, masculizing androgens, and testosterone in a succession. And if those don't happen right, you get a not totally man, but kind of a man. But it's kind of a woman. I can feel like it. And so, but anyways, just reading about that, and I just went, wait a minute. So everything starts at female, then the Bible's wrong. Because the Bible says that Adam was first.
Right.
So why would God design genetically that female in a sense is the default, but men were first? I'm not getting this. And that really, and I wasn't discounting God. I just started thinking the Bible was nonsense. Maybe the Bible's not totally true. Maybe it has some error. But I started thinking, if it starts with error, how can it then find truth? I just started really bothering me. Then I had a class I had to take on religions, hated it. I asked to not take it. Please, I don't want to take it. They said, well, because you're going to be a counselor, you know that you have to deal with AA, and they have higher powers. And so you're going to have to deal with people that have religions other than your Christianity. And I thought, well, I don't want to learn about their religion. Can't I just care about them? No, you need to know. So I took the class, and as I took the class, I realized, wow. Because we had to do a whole report on the religion, not debunking it, but just explaining how they think. Sure. And then every religion, we had to explain how they think. It was all about getting us more used to and the people's thinking, so that we could help them in counseling. So it was a little bit different approach. It was like counseling about how to learn people's religions, sort of, not just like a history class. But so because I had to do that, and I had to explain how I'd interact or work with people, it really started getting me to understand the religions a little bit. And doing them all in succession, it just blew my mind. They all say that only they understand the afterlife, and only their conception of the afterlife is the correct one. This is true for all the religions. In a sense, and then only they know how the way you're supposed to behave in this life to achieve the best afterlife, and only their style is the one. And I just started hearing that they all Judaism, Muslim, Islam, and just Hinduism. They just on and on and on and on and on. It's a central theme that they're all saying. And I thought, if they're all wrong, because I know they're all wrong. And they're all kind of the same. I wonder if mine is truly true.
Yeah, that kills a lot of people's faith too. That one. At some point you realize that they're all different because they're all guesses.
Yeah.
And they can't all be right. So the odds that one of them is right when it's a guess out of all the ones that are wrong, they're all wrong.
I've never heard it said like that as a guess, but that's a short and
that's what it is.
To me
it's pretty obvious that religion used to be science. That's the great thing here. When you look back at it, it's like early religion was. It was just people trying to figure out their world, and you can't blame them for using the modest means that they had and piecing the rest together. Now, and for a long time, religion protected education, and religion fostered art, and really, there's, back in the day. Religion was pretty much always used to control people, yes, but, we wouldn't have a lot of things that we take for granted if it wasn't for the Roman Catholic Church, and it kills me that the evangelicals you mentioned, and cults like yours, they exclude the other pieces of Christianity to the point where the members don't really know that there's other versions. Evangelicals don't even understand that Catholics are Christians, and they'll sit there and argue with me. There's Catholics and there's Christians, and I'm a Christian. I'm like, you do understand that your Christianity would not exist if the Roman Catholics hadn't done their thing, as despicable as it was in a lot of ways. So, but anyway, please go on.
So seeing that, still I didn't become an atheist, but it was just one more thing that made me start going, you know what? Maybe I don't really know. The first time in my life I started to feel like, because I always knew, and then I started to feel like maybe I don't know. So then I had to take the class in the Bible. I thought, oh, finally a class that's going to be easy in college. And it ended up being one of the hardest classes I've ever taken, because it was like nothing I was ready for. I mean, I went halfway through the class and I already turned atheist. I didn't even finish the book. It was like halfway. It was just profoundly, it hit me so hard. And it was so weird, too, because I wasn't looking for it. In fact, I was probably not looking for it. I wanted to stay a Christian. I wanted to stay in my beliefs. So I laugh when I have Christians all the time go, oh, well, you were never a real Christian, and you didn't know God, and you didn't want faith, or you didn't trust your faith. And no, I trusted my faith. No, I believed in God. I read the Bible twice. I was a believer. But reality is also something that I would like to believe. And I started realizing that the stories about God, the stories about the devil, this stuff, this magic, these claims, they don't match up. And I started, like I said, seeing stuff. Like we did a thing on the Noah's Ark and how it matched the Epic of Gilgamesh. And they made us, look at the things, the similarities. Like they both had a boat. They both believe it's a perfect design boat. Although the one in Epic of Gilgamesh is like a pyramid temple more than a boat. But so but I didn't know they both gave a bird. They both were in a certain amount of time in the boat and they let a bird free. That both of them had the bird bring something back. It's like all these. There's I can't remember now all of them, but there was and there's confirmed that it's written way before the Bible, so it's certainly not copying the Bible.
Yeah.
And I started right there. Started going I started fighting it first. Actually, cognitive dissonance. I go no, yeah, it's similar, but it's different. Bible's better.
Maybe a later version, it's got some better editing,
better editing.
Yeah.
So, but I still I wanted to kind of believe, but but man, when it started to get to the devil, and I have a blog about it where the Satan, Lucifer, the devil, the serpent, they're all different. They are not all one being, and they proved it. Show me the verse, show me the thing, explain the context. But I just got I felt like I was drowning. It was so many facts hitting me that I did not know how to accept. It just felt overwhelming, and I felt my mind. It's like this hot heat came over me, and my whole head got red. And I only had I had that happen. I don't know, maybe 3 times in my life. One, when I decided to get divorced after 11-year marriage. One, realizing that God was a lie. And the other one was basically an argument with my sister, but I haven't talked to her now in 6 years. It was just rage. So I think that some of the feeling was rage. And it was shame and it was fear. I was a little afraid, what do you do when you don't believe in God? Because I never had even thought about not believing in God. The idea would have been ludicrous to me at the time.
Yeah.
I would have gone, well,
describing catharsis is what we call it.
Yeah.
The flush of heat that you were describing.
Oh, it was so profound. I always tell people, I was born again. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Born again atheist. Because, man, it hit me so freaking hard. It was like an emotional overload. And but I just saw, boom, this is a lie. There was no way I could escape. I felt like a trapped animal in a cage, my mind, There's no way I could escape this. I looked, and there's just a hole. It's a hole where something...
It's pretty obvious to you now, right?
Oh, it was massively obvious. But I mean, it was so weird, and I was kind of scared too because I thought, well, then my life is over. Because I know my family is extreme, religious. My mom will probably disown me. My life is, all my friends are going to leave. My life is over. I don't even know if my wife will stay with me.
Right.
I mean, it was...
So what happened with that?
My wife stayed. My family basically don't really talk to me. A little bit, but barely. It's more like we have nothing to talk about. And most of my friends have left. So yeah, most of the stuff that I feared basically happened, except my wife stayed.
How does a cult leader name their kid, or a cult member name their kid Damien? Didn't she see the Omen?
Yeah, she did.
It's like a devil name, isn't it?
Well, actually,
like a classic sort of devilly name.
Yeah, it's a devilly name, but that's not why I chose it. I actually chose.
Oh, you chose.
I chose it. Well, I was named Joseph. I was born Joseph, but I changed my name. I changed my last name actually first, but I changed it twice. I changed it once when I was a child because of my abusive religious father. I wished him to never be in my life, so I took my stepdad's name. And so, no, it was Sturt. And but when I got married, and after being an atheist, I was already married a little bit, but after being an atheist, I realized I don't like the thought that the religious rules that a woman has to take a man's name, like somehow she's a property or less than a man. Right. Sure. I go, I don't have that value anymore. I don't have that religious thinking. I told her, you know what? Why don't we come up with our own name? Let's just make something up. Let's do something that just validates us. I go, because I'm not going to take your name, and I don't expect you to take mine. So we need to figure out what we're going to do about this. Right. And I said, why don't we make it something that means something? And so we talked about a couple things, and I said, what I really want now, because this is the difference of being, because this is the difference. They talk about hope in Christianity, but in my experience, what I experienced was not hope. It was terror. It was dread. The only hope was that I was going to make it. Where now I have a new hope. It's like life is wonder. I went from closed-mindedness to wonder. I mean, I went from hating groups of people to trying to care about people that hate me. I mean, I've so profoundly changed. I have a blog on that too that I wrote about the contrast. I went from a extreme Republican that hated gays and didn't care about the poor and all that, to somebody who's, I'm a massive leftist and socialist anarchist, and I care about the entire world. I mean, I'll talk to a bum. I care. Everyone's valuable to me. My world is so changed. I support LGBT rights. I mean, my whole world has changed so much. I don't even. So, and then how I got started on Facebook. So I'm not. I was a truck driver. And I got an injury, and that's what my foot nerve damage, and sometimes I can't walk, and I've had sometimes be in a wheelchair, but I sometimes can walk. It just depends. It has to do with nerve damage. I've already had 2 spinal shots for it. I'm going to get more, and then eventually foot surgery. But anyway, so because of that's why I started to try to go into counseling instead of doing truck driving, because it's too much labor for my. Yeah. And so when I did that, then I became an atheist. Well, when I became an atheist, and I lost pretty much all people in my life, I wanted friends. So I thought, well, everyone talks about Facebook, in college and stuff. I thought, well, maybe I'll go on Facebook, probably, if nothing else, I'll go and hate on people and shit that don't like me, because I figured I didn't know there was a community. I thought I'd go hate on people because I'd tell them I was an atheist, and then they would say stuff,
They hate on you, yeah.
I figured that they were going to hate on me, so that's fine. I'll go hate on them. It'll give me something to do because I'm raging about being an atheist. Not because I hate God, but because I feel like everybody's a fucking asshole, and they're treating me terrible because I don't believe in their magic anymore.
Right.
And so that's what I mean by, I don't mean like I hated people that believe. I hated that they treated me like crap, including my own family. I didn't do anything. I remember my mom, when the first time I didn't want to tell her because I knew it was going to be bad. Right. But my mom calls it all the time, right? And she used to say all the time, almost once a week before, every 2 weeks. Now it's almost probably every 6 months. But anyway, so she called and she would say, oh, let's pray about something. If I said, oh, I'm struggling on Facebook, people don't like me. She'd be like, oh, let's pray. Everything's about pray. So I don't remember what I said, but she said something and she goes, oh, let's pray. And I go, okay. But like real dead, like,
yeah.
And then she goes, do you hate God? I'm sensing some annoyance in your voice. I went, well, actually, now I can't be angry at God, Mom, because I don't believe there is one. And then she first got real angry. How dare you? Then she goes, wait a minute. Okay. Oh, you don't think there's a God, huh? What about the Bible? How does the Bible? How did the Bible get written? And I'm like, well, what I learned in the class is lots of people, and we don't even know, wrote the Bible. So, and then edited it and re-edited it, interpreted it. So, yeah, the Bible's not really a source of good information. And my mom tried to argue a little more, and I started talking about some of the new things I had learned. And she couldn't disprove them. I couldn't disprove them. That's why I turned atheist.
Right.
So, and I don't remember off the top of my head what I said, but it was stuff that I had just learned in my book, because I had to read the whole book on the Bible. So I started like grilling her, because that's what the whole book is about. It's called, I think, Uncovering the Bible or something. I can't remember now, but it was a college course book. Anyways, so she hung up on me. Right? Did not call me for like 2 months.
Right.
Calls me up. Well, look, I'm gonna go ahead and love you anyways. I hear you don't believe in God, and I do, but I'm gonna love you anyways. And I told her, you know what? Don't do me any favors. Seriously. I go, you are acting like I did something wrong. I go, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to feel bad. I did nothing wrong. In fact, you're the one doing something wrong. We have a connection, and now you're making it a problem, and I didn't do anything wrong.
I don't need your poison, love.
Yeah. I'm like, and so she hung up on me again. And then she didn't call me for about another 2 months. And then she said, I love you. And I said, that's the way it should be. I love you. And she goes, okay. And I said, okay. And then now we barely talk, but it's a little bit better than it was.
It made a little accord there, yeah. My mom, she's born again, but she came out of the tradition I explained to you, so it was kind of a retro thing for her when she got divorced, and the church kind of followed Reagan era conservative wave, kind of swept through those churches, and they got a little bit more born again. Even the liberal ones that I grew up in. So she kind of bought that in the 80s and got a little retro with her born againism, but she doesn't give me a lot of crap. She knows that it'll lead to an argument she can't win, so she just, she wouldn't get mad. She would never tell me, or hang up on me or anything. She secretly prays for me and says, God bless you anyway, and other than that, we just don't talk about religion or politics because she was right out there voting for Trump, I'm sure,
I'm sure my mom did the same thing, and she knows better. She said something one time, I can't remember about something about politics, and I went off. I mean, I'm very into politics, but anyways. So, but going back to my thing, so my mom, and me made an accord, but rest of my family, it basically, I helped my brother. I didn't turn him, but I provided information and challenge to my brother that moved him from a liberal Christian to a doubting Christian to an agnostic atheist, because I just kept pushing him.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I think that was funny he liked is something that I don't even know where it is now, but a long time ago I had figured out, because I wanted to read through the Bible again to see if I could see anything totally wrong. I remember reading this one part and I put it up there. It's about where God is telling them to take a census, like, count people, whatever. So, and then the censuses are really important to God. In fact, when you took them, one time David took one, I think, without asking him. It was Saul, and then God punished him because he wasn't supposed to take a census. Like, somehow that matters. Right. But that's how you should punish. Yeah, well, that's why you should punish people to death, because a child needs to die because you took a census. But anyways.
Yeah.
Well, because I think a child died, and he said that's why. It's ridiculous. Like, the God that would kill a child for someone doing the census is a God we should kill. But but anyway, so the fact that they take a census is a big deal. Well, I read, and if you count the numbers, they all end in zeros or 50, like 100 or 50, whatever it is, 100 or 50, all of them. All of them are even numbers. There's 12 tribes of Judah, right? 12 tribes of Judah. So I said, come on now. Just think of the how could you possibly 12 tribes of groups of people that are an accurate, real, not fake, real census, and they all end in zeros. 50 or 100. Someone's rounding. Isn't rounding by definition lying? Is it lying against God? How could you then? Here's a better one.
I added 3%, okay?
Yeah. So the funny thing was, the census was supposedly demanded by God, and not only that, God accepted it as good. And I go, my brother, how can this be? You know this is not true. By definition, 12 census of groups of people are not going to be zeros 12 times. It's just not possible. And God knows this, so God is accepting a lie. And my brother goes, that is a very good point. I go, it's math, dude. You can't get outside of it.
God knows all of it, man. He knows all of it. My mother-in-law, she was very upset that we were atheists. And my mother-in-law said, if your child got sick with cancer, you wouldn't pray to God? No. And my ex-wife said, the God that gave him the cancer?
That's a good one.
What are you fucking talking about? Either God has an infallible plan that he understands everything and he's got a plan for it, or he might change his mind because you asked him for some shit. Which is it? Well, he's either got a plan, he knows everything, or he might change it because you asked. Please don't let my husband get in a car crash on the way home. So it's God's will. If he's supposed to get in a car crash, why is he going to change it because you prayed? It's just too stupid for anybody whose IQ, to me, is over 120. To even consider as a reasonable interpretation of what might be real in the universe. It's 2018.
Yeah, it is, and
that's not coming back.
And that addresses like why I do Facebook stuff. So when I first went for basically to be heard, I guess, and to argue. But when I went, I had about 78 friends, and I had a lot of believers. I had almost no atheists because I didn't know to even look for them. So most people were believers. I'm fighting with Buddhists. I'm fighting with people about Taoism. I'm fighting with people about all kinds of weird stuff that, Sikhism. I'm like arguing with people on topics that like probably a lot of atheists don't really argue that often, but because I had all kinds of friends. Because I really didn't have that. I had about 5 or something, atheist friends. So I got so angry and just like disillusioned trying to fight with these people, and I had no friends. I thought no one likes me, and then my friends are like, I wrote a thing. I'm going to delete all my friends. So I went down. I don't remember how many, but I did. I was thinking about even removing myself from Facebook. I just sick of people. I don't like arguing. I want to help people, inform them, but I don't just ramble arguing for no reason.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that shit. So I ended up, I don't remember how many. Let's say I got into 15 friends. I don't know, maybe 30. I don't know. But I dropped a whole bunch, and I was really thinking about. And my friend goes, "No, you should stay." She was an atheist, and she's like, "No, you should stay. Why don't you just get some atheist friends?" I never even thought about that. I know it seems stupid to people, but I never thought to actually look for people that could think like me or help me or just talk to, that don't have God beliefs. And so I started, looking for people that were atheists and being friends. But I never thought about, like stuff that I do now, activism, because I didn't know anything. I was just trying to be. Right. So I started getting friends and stuff, and I started realizing even that how much stuff that they have that I didn't know. And then a lot of things that I realized how I did atheism, because I did it for like from 2006, and I think I wasn't on Facebook until 2009 or something. So I'd been an atheist for a few years and did without knowing any other atheists.
Right.
So my style was kind of weird. I called myself at the time a spiritual atheist because I still kind of had after-world beliefs. I thought there wasn't any God, but I wasn't sure if ghosts were real and stuff. And so, because I really hadn't thought about things, but the more I started thinking and I started researching and arguing with people, and I was open for truth, and I just started finding more and more stuff, and I'm like, no, dead is dead. It's okay. That's over too. I don't believe in ghosts, so there's no it can't be an afterlife. If there's no existence of me, extended somewhere else after this life, then it doesn't even matter. Talk of all that is just foolish.
You don't have a soul.
Yeah. Exactly the point. Exactly. That's because also I realized the thing of thinking for me. If I believe the world is natural, when did magic happen first, and why? Why did humans get a soul, let's say, and nobody else? Why not animals? I just started because I didn't believe in a God doing it, right?
Right.
So I thought it was an inherency of life, maybe maybe all life, animals had spirits or something. But I started realizing that's nonsense, and I started wanting to understand, okay, how this happened. And my wife told me, she said, well, all the religions are connected. And I said, no, I don't know that. Well, I knew nothing. And I'm like, I thought they're like all totally separate ideas that just came. And so the more and more I started looking into try to find out, is that true? I started realizing actually that is true. I started getting into archaeology. Because another thing too, I started arguing with people and they were like, what's the proof? What's the thing? Stop opinions. And I go, yeah, that's a good point. Do we know? Because a lot of people go, well, I think religion started with lightning and or something. And I'm like, no, I would say religion starts really in our persuasion to be superstitious. That's where it starts. That in our inability to understand the reality of the world. Just like you said, when you're a long time ago, you didn't have any information to work with. So of course you're ignorant. Then you have superstition and you're ignorant. Well, there you get anthropomorphizing, beliefs that things are like us.
I have my own.
Well, I mean, so, and then like everyone in a sense before 7 is basically an animistic thinker. In other words, we're prone to think that there's magical agency to things, and when you do that, you can automatically just, plus an anthropomorphic, which is like that we see human faces or human things, or we feel our emotions. Like to me, I have my degree is like in psychology. So to me, I like a lot about psychology of religion too. So to me, like our persuasion in a sense is that we're an emotional being. This has to do with just our design. That's why we're social beings. That's why we love our kids. It helps us, in a sense, to survive because group camaraderie and all kinds of stuff, familial ties, all that is really against our own choice in a sense. I mean, we can choose to not do it, but the motivation is to do it. Motivation is to be in a clan, in a sense, to feel connected to groups. Because look, we have group think. Because if this is, let's just say we were not prone to that at all, then we wouldn't have that error in our mind that allows group think, and we do it. In fact, there's even delusional induced like almost schizophrenia stuff that can happen to where when someone's around you and has really passionate, persuasive beliefs, we can believe this. Now, a lot of people think that's not true, but all you have to think that's why movies work. That's why video games work. That's why religions work. They just hijack something that is already pre-existing in us. Then they monopolize on it. It's not that we would, in a sense, always invent gods. We would invent the belief that magic is somewhere. And you hear people say this a lot when they say, I'm spiritual, non-religious. Well, I feel something. Well, yeah, you're an animist. So there's something out there. Well, that's somethingism. There's actual thing, somethingism. It's called Advocacy or something. It's from like Dutch. And it's the belief. It's not deism exactly. It's like almost like it's not exactly pantheism. It's something in between. It's like they don't really know. But that's in a sense to me kind of like a natural persuasion. But it goes back to an evolutionary thing that we need to be able to perceive danger. And it's better that we err on the side that our mind does. And like people also, we have this delusional belief that like when we perceive everything, it's 100% accurate, even though all of us will admit that when we look at a room, we don't actually perceive every single fact precisely. Maybe some people do. I don't for sure. But so we do a lot of editing of the truth in general that we don't realize. Like our brain does. It goes, oh, we don't need to know that. We don't need to know this. So in a sense, we're already fucking with reality. To me, our mind, like, is a general persuasion. We don't actually live as real as we think. We're editing out, not listening to this, hearing whatever. So we're constantly doing stuff like that. In group counseling, they call it forming, storming, norming, and performing. There's different stages in a sense that you feel good about. But so my point is, that's what religion does. It's not like some people see it evolutionary. Like I know Dawkins says it's a meme or something that's transferred. No, I don't agree with that at all. No, what survives is our need to believe in nonsense, and then we like also to be led. I don't personally, but
most people do. And that goes to the fight or flight thing.
Exactly.
Most people will survive because the tiger in the bush didn't need him because they ran away.
Right.
But the guy that didn't run away is the guy who ends up discovering California. Right. And one of his type gets eaten once in a while because it was a tiger. But the leader and the follower, that breaks down along the same line.
Well, and then there's another side to that. That's the masculine in sense side, and then the feminine side is called tend to befriend. But men do it too. We do it when we go to war. We just don't do it. Yeah. In other words, women do it as a persuasion more. Men do it as a singularity. Like, in this event happens, okay, then that's okay.
Right. We all share together.
So there is more as the general persuasion of tend to befriend. But tend to befriend also is why religion's there. What do people say religion? I like the community. Why tend to befriend? They're hijacking that feeling of solidarity. That's like, I mean, like I said, it's why I went on Facebook. I wanted some, to go argue with people or maybe find friends. I mean,
and that's why atheists bother Christians more than Muslims and Buddhists, because our worldview completely shocks that paradigm. You know what I mean? It wakes them up to the fact that there are people out there that don't need the comfort myth. And we'd love it. God sounds like a great thing. I'd love it too if there was an afterlife and heaven and all that crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't need to comfort myself with it, and that upsets people greatly when because to me, and I always say this, I think everybody. Yes, I think you're right about the psychology. We do need that. We do need to believe in nonsense and magic in some way. But I also think that everybody understands that there is no God at a real fundamental level, and when you really throw that in their faces, that makes them react in a violent way, because most people are really happy to fill in that discomfort with a comfortable notion that they've been handed down from grandma and grandma's grandma and grandma's grandma and grandma's grandma, and they don't want to upset that apple cart.
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing is, I think and I wrote a blog about this too, about dignity. They misplace dignity. In other words, it is appropriate, let's say, for a parent to feel that they need to respect, say, the child's dignity. That the child deserves, in a sense, rights and respect and honor. They put that on an idea. But see, that's a total violation, because an idea actually cannot contain a dignity. It has no rights to violate. It has no feelings to, it has, in a sense, like you were talking about too, they don't understand this. Your idea of a God has no right to exist. Seriously. We could remove it and it doesn't have to be put back.
Right.
So it has no right. It's not a thing. They give it thingness status.
Right.
So I totally agree. It's like, but to them, it's like my mom would punch me almost, for saying I don't believe in God. I mean, her anger, her feeling, her hurt. It's not just anger. It's like hurt. You don't love my God. Because to them, it's a thing. And I totally get this. That's why I try to be patient with especially, like you said, Christians or fanatics in general, is when they talk about God, I know I'm attacking their best friend to them. It's just an idea to me.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I don't do it. But I do agree with you. You have to be aware. Because, I mean, I know then how I present it or attack it, I need to be careful because I know what they're going to feel. And I always think this, like even on Facebook and stuff, what's my message? What am I trying to get across? Am I trying to get across that I can prove them wrong? Or am I trying to help them see what's right?
Right.
And so to me, it's very easy to prove people wrong. But I really want people to change. I feel for
and
them.
You can't do that by offending their beliefs. You have to find a different way at it. You're totally right.
Well, because I realize you can't punch someone in the face with the truth and then expect them to listen.
No.
I realize that I have to, as much as possible, and it's not always easy, but if I can, try to offer it like a gift. Let them open it for themselves. I go, and I go, in other words, I've seen people before that go, here's the why evolution is true, dumbass, or something. I try not to do that. I go, hey, you know what? This is what evolution says. This is the facts of things. Right. You know, I try to present it in a way that I would offer it to a friend. And so that's another reason why I started getting more active. I realized that my style was a different style, and it could be a good style in a sense in atheism. And I wanted to not make, like one person before said, I want to start a cult. No, I don't want to start a cult. No, I realized that religious people, they go to school. In other words, like the whole upbringing for me was learning how to be a Christian. But then when you become an atheist, nobody in a sense helps you be an atheist. No one says there's a right way. I'm not saying there is, but I'm just saying, except not believing a God. That would be the right way. You know. So, but there's not like a set of information out there to explain, to tell. So one of the early things I made was I made a blog called, the reasons of why and all the kinds of atheism. And I have like about 40 different like persuasions in a sense, or ways or reasons that people come to being an atheist. Because we don't all have the same story or come for the same reason. And so I started looking and not just making up stuff off the top of my head though. I wanted to get like, what was the philosophy of this or this type of thing and why. And it was really about just wanting to help the new atheists. I feel for them. I felt like I was alone. I didn't know anything. And what's right? How do you even know how to think? And that's why I just kept fighting with people. And I was in my 7th class in my master's, and I decided I was really irritated with some of the religious stuff in my psychology courses. How it was so like pro-religion and so like anti-atheist. And I was like, this is some horse shit. It was starting to piss me off.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about actually quitting psychology and going to sociology and focusing more on like, helping people more directly. Like, I mean, in a larger way, not like individual counseling. And because I really wanted, I feel like I want to help more people. I want people to know. I want to make a difference. Not like so I can be special, but so the people can be helped.
Right.
And so I realized I'm gonna quit and I'm gonna become a professional atheist. I'm just going to do my activism and start working on a book and then go from there. And I made pages and stuff, and the more and more I kept doing stuff, I started realizing we need to work together. And I don't mean just atheists. I just mean humanity.
About it.
I realized that we rise by helping each other. So I started making a campaign of just helping others as much as I could, trying to promote others. I went on there. In fact, David Silverman one time shared my web page because I had said anyone under 5,000 people that has a group or a web page, if you post it right here, I will help share it for you on all my pages. Just trying to help anybody who's struggling.
Yeah.
If you have,
networking,
because I was like, I wish someone would have done that to me. I just started thinking, I wish someone helped me. I wish there was a thing that it was easy to understand. I wish that everyone had listed all this stuff. And so that's what I started doing. I started listing stuff, adding blogs. I read 5 college course books on archaeology. I read about 3 on anthropology. I started like reading more stuff, learning more stuff. I started realizing I want to crack religion. I want to figure out when this started. I want to figure out what was kind of going on and how it ended up that we have this today.
Right.
So for 5 years now, that's what I've been doing.
About it as long as I've been. We came at it in different ways, and it's awesome what you're doing, and I'm proud of you for getting out. I feel like I had it easy. I really do. Hey, I'm that personality type. I don't, it was easy for me to just tell the whole world I was an atheist and I didn't give a shit what anybody thought about it.
Yeah.
And because of the background I came from, it made it easy, and because of the person I am. And the more and more I'm in it, the more I meet people who have a different version of the same kind of thing you went through.
Yeah.
Some cult members, some just people who were, more normal religious, but just as fanatic, and some are just so steeped in Catholicism that they're not really conservative in many ways at all, except they can't break out of that guilt and fear and just live their lives. So, it's getting kind of late. I got to get my kids dinner.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
We got to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Damien Marie AtHope, he's explained the way he came out of, a cult upbringing and found his way into activism, which is manifested in massive Facebook followings to be jealous of, and a network where he is trying to help people find their own way out of religion and make sense of atheism and make that normalized in society and right and okay, which is really, I was going through memes from the founders, really what they had in mind, honestly.
Yeah.
None of them were Christians in the way that any evangelical thinks of it. As I said at the top, this is the first great secular nation, and we have no secular voice in politics to speak of. So it's a shame. Thanks for doing what you're doing. And let's hook up again soon. It was a good conversation, man.
Definitely.
More of a conversation than an interview.
Well, it was good. I enjoyed it, and we'll definitely. I would like to interview you and I don't remember his name.
Nikolai. Yeah. Let's do that. Good. We have the Brew City benefit that we need to plug. Benefit for rape survivors with the current the tenor of the times, the Me Too movement, and all the news that's breaking, and everybody's had to say that they've been inappropriately approached or molested or whatever level of uncomfortability they were made to feel. We're looking at moving past the time where that's ever an issue again too. So the Brew City benefit, there's an Indiegogo to look for. So I want to get back and plug that along with pumping our stuff and your pages as well. Go ahead and tell people if they want to join you in your pages.
So the easiest way is to go to my website, which is just my full name, Damien Marie AtHope.com.
Perfect.
And I have all my stuff on there, and I have a YouTube page and stuff, but everything is all on my webpage.
All right, cool, man. Send me the link, and thanks for doing this.
All right,
man.
no problem.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a great
day.
Brother.
Later.